Thank you for staying with us. Let's begin with the quagmire created by the controversial naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Nigerian Governors Forum has warned that the CBN's policy could have disastrous effects on the country and potentially lead the economic recession. The governors across party lines disclosed this in a communique signed by the chairman, Governor Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto State. Meanwhile, Ekiti State Governor has applied to be joined as co-plaintiff in the suit against the federal government at the Supreme Court against the naira redesign policy and the new deadline for swapping of old notes to new ones. Babajide, development. A lot of people are saying that the way the governors have fought this battle and the way they've gone all out, that they wish the governors could have gone all out for other issues like that. But this naira redesign, that a lot of people are agitated and the governors are putting their feet down that this policy will affect the people.
Yes, I've heard people compare it to ASU strike that they wished.
Yes, yes. Just that talk.
They wished the governors had gone to court over ASU strike and all that. Some of these arguments can be amusing to me. And it takes one person to come up with an argument, everybody will latch on it as if that person has really made so much sense. The truth is, whether you are a student or you are not a student, you need naira notes to spend. We are talking about Western education. Some people don't give a hoot about Western education in our country. Because as far as they are concerned, that's not the only form of education that you can get. And when you are talking about ASU strike, it only affected the public universities. There are many private universities around. There are options. What are the options that you have to spending money? Your family will starve. I mean, it's not the right analogy to use because, look, not all of us are students. Many people can be indifferent about it. I'm not saying, for me, I wasn't indifferent. You remember how we fought every day. Yeah. We fought the Minister of Labor, we fought the Minister of Education. But if an analogy does not make any sense, it does not make any sense. There are people who do not care about education of any sort, but they are getting by. They are living their lives. But who is that person who can survive without finding money to spend today? I mean, if the country gets grounded, I'm telling you, because of this, some of the people coming up with this argument, they are going to suffer for it. We all need money to spend. I'm telling you. And people can't work for their hard-earned money and then want to take even a small fraction of it. You say they cannot take it. Nobody. That kind of thing didn't happen with ASU, for example.
Even you left us with the electronic transfer option. Some of us, we have to send money like thieves in the night.
Yes, you wake up around 1 a.m.
Yes, to send money like thieves.
To send money.
The bank, you know yourself, that bank.
But it's not their problem. It's not their problem. It's not the fault of the bank. The people, when we talk about serious lack of capacity.
Yes, breakdown of the platform.
To implement a policy and see that policy is successful. CBN suffers for that. CBN has a serious capacity deficiency. And it is evident to everyone, no matter how much you like them, because I know this one is temporary love. Some of those even supporting them now, they will still curse the same man in the fullness of time. We know them.
I stand with them.
They will still curse him later on. You know, some of them we know they can't come out openly because some people say, "But I thought you were supporting him the other day." But they are suffering. They are suffering within their homes. Complain, our country shouldn't be run in this way. They say, "Why? Use this guy? You talk too much." But when they are in their closets, the hypocrite in them comes into full demonstration. by saying, oh, this is wrong, but they don't say it publicly. It doesn't mean that they do not.
Leaving Nigerians at the mercy of 23,000, less than 25,000 ATM for 200 million people.
Yes, that is even assuming. They said in Zamfara State, only 18% of the women have bank accounts. So the rest of them are not human beings. And they work very hard. People in the rural areas, they work very hard. The food that we eat, they are the ones who produce it. Look at the contribution of agriculture to our GDP. Look at the contribution of agriculture to our GDP. And it's these rural people, it's these uneducated people. So let's talk about what is real. Let's leave the banal analogies and all that because you felt like talking. What is bad is bad. Yorubas will say, unti oda oda. A situation, a policy that pushes people to their untimely death. We saw a man who died while on the queue. A policy that turns onile people who have money and turns them to destitute in their own country, turns them to beggars. People will be asking for 5,000, 3,000. That cannot be a policy meant for human beings. It can't be. And I've said before, we are not saying no. Don't do this program. They are not saying this policy is bad in itself. We are saying that how did they implement it in the UK that they gave that length of time? And you, out of disrespect for your own people, you now felt, oh, they must do it within just 3 months.
100 days.
I mean, what are we talking about? I am happy with governors that are standing up to be counted. Governors who are saying, look, this is painful. We are talking about our people. We can't watch our people suffer. Those are the real heroes. And in the fullness of time, time will show who the real heroes are. Time will separate hypocrites from the real people, the men, those that the outside people will call Namiji. You know, the real man, Namiji. The time will set those people apart from the hypocrites that dot our landscape. That is the thing. We have to look at how people are suffering and ask ourselves, is it right? If it is not right, then Mr. President has an obligation to do what is right because he was not elected to watch Nigerians suffer. No. And this is an election year. I'm sure in his heart he wants his party to win, but if you want your party to win, this is not the way to go about it. We will say it.
And even INEC and some other people involved in the elections, they are saying that they are going to need cash. At the end of the day, as in for logistics, for things to run very well.
There are about 124,377 or thereabouts units.
Triple units, 176,000.
Look at that number. And let's pretend that all the political parties, 18 of them, will have an agent in every polling unit. Let's talk 18. So that's 177 times 18 people. Don't forget the youth corps members, the ad hoc staff, the police, people who have to buy drinks. All these are depending on money being available to run the election. So this law, this implementation itself is not only dangerous, it's also treasonous. Because you are deliberately creating a lacuna that can harm the elements of our democracy that we all rely on. Because like Gideon said, you have to understand that this is on the exclusive list. Monetary policy is exclusive. For universities, private universities, state universities, whatever you want. Even hospitals, doctors can go on strike, and private doctors can decide to work.
There are options.
Everybody must earn money.
This one, everybody is affected.
And it's only applicable to the federal government. That's why the states are doing the right thing. Because between you and I, they cannot go and print money. They don't have the power. So the federal government can do that. They cannot regulate money being spent. That's the problem of the federal government. So, but their people are suffering. And they know that given the circumstances of our people, the level of poverty, you are asking the governors to sit idly by while their states burn. That's what the implication is. So they have no choice but
an invitation to crisis.
They have no choice. They have to go to court and ask the Supreme Court to tell them, please, exactly, this thing is killing. Save us. And that to me is the tragedy of the entire, because like everybody said, there's no problem with changing the coloring, changing the classification of the naira. But give it enough time Because if it were to be the way we thought they were going to do it, the moment you start implementing, you stop paying out old notes.
Yes.
By now, we will not be in this crisis. Because by now, most of the old notes will have.
You are paying out old notes.
But you are paying back what you are taking in. So that means 100 days you are
What was
quoting.
not enough, that's the thing.
The 100 days starts the day you stop paying it back old notes.
I don't know, maybe it was, you know, it wasn't, I didn't hear him say it, but some newspapers quoted the CBN governor and saying about the capacity to print more notes and everything. And I was looking at, if we don't have that capacity, why the deadline? Why don't we wait till we're able to print what we would have mopped up from the economy?
You know, when public officials speak, they imagine that they are the only ones who have knowledge about what's going on in their respective ministries, agencies, and parastatals. Other people have knowledge, even greater knowledge than some of these guys that sometimes they go to the National Assembly, they can't even answer some questions, they put their aides beside them.
So now we'll be whispering.
They will be writing it down for him to they will be whispering into their ears, you know. Someone who knew he was coming, that should have prepared himself sufficiently. You still need a small boy beside you to be telling you this is what to say, you know. On the issue of capacity, people already know how much this security printing company, security printing and minting company can do in a year, they know. He can say what he likes. It is only to the gullible. Maybe we've always had the NNPC come to say, no, we have enough supply. I remember during the Kachiku era, when he went to the National Assembly and he was lying that they had enough petrol, that this crisis is not supply-based, that it's just an issue of people smuggling across the border. Come and see the way other stakeholders exposed him on the floor of the Senate. That was the day I knew that for months, the supply had actually been going down. So if the supply had been going down, because the moment boss, yes, the boss of Norman at that time, I think their secretary, was the one who spoke for the major oil marketers. And they said, see, what are we talking about? From this month, last year, supply had been tapering down. So when the supply was tapering down, tapered down right up to
the extent that
the season when you need petrol the most, during the Yuletide.
Yeah.
So what did you expect?
Demand became...
Do you know that at that point when that man said that, Kachiku just buttoned up his mouth? What's the Brudaya we call the permanent position of shut up? Because the man was holding a document. He said, Moman. He said, but this is it. Supply had been tapering down. Why was supply tapering down? And you were giving us the impression that, oh, all was well. I have, over time, made up my mind that when I watch these people and I see their lips shaking, I don't get taken in by the lies that they tell the Nigerian people. They must find an excuse. They must find an excuse. In future now, that's why it's good sometimes for the National Assembly to call these people. Let's hear them. Let's even hear them. The woman, when they brought the woman the other day, she said she did not even know how many billions of naira notes were printed.
Circulation.
The woman was not aware. The same way the Minister of Finance, who is on the board of CBN, was not aware that we were going to redesign. Now, if we slip into recession, that woman, the whole mandate of ensuring that we get out of recession will be heaped upon her for something that she knew nothing about. That is the thing. This is a collective thing. Nigerians must stop sitting on the fence. They must come out and address this problem. Because for those who are sitting on the fence, it's just for some time. we will all end up suffering, all of us.
Everybody.
We will all end up suffering.
Breakfast, everybody will be served.
Yes. Everybody will be served breakfast now. Apologies to Burna Boy. And if you are not served breakfast, you will chop gala at last. That's the thing.
It doesn't matter the time. As far as it's
you
breakfast.
go chop gala now.
Ekiti State now has asked to be joined as a party to this suit.
I think more states also join. I think Rivers has also shown interest. And
what's the implication of this, please?
The implication is what we said when we started, that this is a federation. And the federation is made of independent states. And the only thing that they are asking for is the fact that they don't want their people to suffer based on the inability of the man who holds the exclusive list to do this job. Because the constitution was very clear. Monetary policy is an exclusive function of the federal government. But the state governors are designated as chief security officers of their states. That means whether it's in practice or in theory, they are to be held responsible for any crisis or chaos that starts from their states. So Ekiti joining, of course, is a good thing. I expect more states to join. Because the reality is that if nothing is done, because a lot of people sitting on the fence are not really sitting on the fence. They are being partisan. They assume that this will give an advantage to whoever candidate they are supporting. Which, of course, because we all know that, like Bob Marley said, if the rain falls, it falls on every man's house.
Yeah.
It doesn't fall on no man's house. Because if you think you are gaining a temporary advantage or you are demarketing somebody based on this suffering, a man who has lost his money, who had 100,000 naira, who bought his 100,000 with 25,000, lost 25,000 automatically. That means the money he had is 75,000. Without anything happening, the recession has set in.
Honest.
Without even touching it, because he has to pay.
Buying naira from the parallel market.
He has to buy
black market.
His own money.
Buying naira.
It's not somebody else's money.
Even the governor talked about black market. Yeah, talked about it now.
That's how bad things are.
And the worst thing is, what are we even buying? It is the old notes that they are giving back to people. It's the old notes. And some banks, I heard that some banks have even begun rejecting the old notes, despite the Supreme Court order. It shows how irresponsible some of these people are. To them, CBN is their God. But we have law in our country. This is not the Obasian situation that we found ourselves. We are not in the Obasian state of nature. There is law, there is order, and there is a Supreme Court, and banks are refusing to take money. I thank those governors that are locking up shopping malls and other places where old currencies are being rejected, because the law says you must take this currency until it is no longer legal tender. And a CBN governor who is saying Nigerians will not lose their money, he has to come out and tell us what he meant by that. Because if you said they should not take money from now, what are they going to do with the old naira notes that they have left? What did you mean when you were saying that no Nigerian will lose his money? Were you just saying that so that the House of Reps will quickly leave you off the hook? I mean, you are not supposed to simply say what those people would like to hear.
Or soundbites.
Yes. You have to speak.
Not only to us do they lie, they also lie to their bosses.
All right.
It's worse.
All right.